walk on, and don't just stand there in the store.
By the end of 1990, Reba McEntire had found love again with second husband Narvel Blackstock, and at age 34 had become a mother for the first time. Not wanting to miss a moment of son Shelby's early years, she began chartering jets to her concert dates. During 1 week in March of 1991, Reba was booked to perform in 4 cities spread across the country. That meant the band would have to travel by chartered jets too. After a concert in California, Reba and Narvel went to their hotel room with plans to fly out the next day, while the band and crew boarded 2 planes bound for Indiana. Shortly after the 2 flights took off, Reba and Narvel were awakened in their hotel room by an urgent phone call, summoning Narvel away.
And I sat up in the bed. I knew, without a shadow of doubt, something was very, very wrong.
An excruciating half-hour passed before Narvel returned.
He said, well, one of the planes went down. And I said, is everybody okay? He said, we don't think so. I said, you mean they're hurt? He said, we don't think so. He said, we think they're dead.
The plane carrying road manager Jim Hammond and band members Chris Austin, Paula K. Evans, Kirk Capello, Michael Thomas, Joey Ciganero, Tony Saputo, and Terry Jackson had gone down when its left wing clipped a rock outcropping on Otay Mountain, cartwheeled, and crashed 25 feet away.
One plane took off clear as a breeze, and the other one hit the side of the mountain.
After receiving confirmation of the tragedy, Narvel was faced with the hardest task of his life, calling each of the band members' families with the tragic news. Reba placed a call to her own family in Oklahoma.
I said, Daddy, just a second. I said, I got there, I'm okay. I said, but one of our planes crashed tonight, and it's going to be on the news in the morning, and we lost some of our band and crew. Probably the most guilty thing I felt about is having to tell my daddy I'm okay when Narvel's in there telling those other mamas and daddies that their kids are not okay.
Reba and Narvel returned to Nashville and organized a memorial service for the families and friends of those who died. Numb and heartbroken, Reba sat at home overcome with the memories of her road family. She had to face what to do next, knowing she was scheduled to perform at the Academy Awards show in a few days. In the midst of her indecision and grief, Reba felt she received a message from her deceased friends.
And all of a sudden, it wasn't a voice, it was just something that said, go do it, and do it for us. They told me that they're all right. And they knew I had to know that for my own peace of mind.
Reba did perform on the Oscars 9 days after the crash to an international audience of millions. Predictably, criticism followed.
There were some in the community, I think, that felt that her behavior was a little cold, or a little, maybe not as empathetic as it might have been.
It wasn't a situation of what's best for the career. That wasn't the situation. That was pretty much how we're going to survive this. Mentally, physically, emotionally.
I guess the world didn't stop my broken heart.
When it was time to return to the studio for a new album, the last thing Reba wanted to sing were happy songs. For My Broken Heart was filled with songs of sadness, death, and loss. For Reba, it was an incredibly healing album.
You know, if you're troubled by something, if you can talk about it, it's always better when it comes out into the light. Don't keep it in darkness.
She was singing from the heart, and the band was playing from the heart. It was an amazing situation to be involved in. I will never forget that.
The final song on the album was Reba's tribute to the friends she lost.
I had only known.
And she was only able to sing it one time. She performed it from the heart, and there was nothing else to do.
The smash hit from For My Broken Heart became Is There Life Out There, an anthem of hope for women who feared they made the wrong choices in their lives.
She doesn't want to leave, she's just wondering, is there life out there?
We moved would stand up in the audience and hold up their framed diploma. 40s and 50-year-old women. I just thought that was wonderful.
That's what Reba's genius is that she knows that she's addressing those women and she wants those women to be her friend. And that video and that song cemented that.
The song symbolized Reba's determination to make music that spoke for her as a woman, and in turn inspired and touched others. Her musical tribute to her band was overwhelmingly accepted by fans. Reba's life felt back on track, but in November of 1992, it almost came crashing down again. Narvel, Reba, and her stylist Sandy boarded a jet bound for a show in Madison, Wisconsin. Immediately, they knew something was wrong.
You know after you've ridden enough planes, and especially the same plane 4 nights a week, when something's not going right.
The landing gear on the plane's nose was stuck, but the pilot couldn't tell if the wheels were up or down.
We're thinking, well, you know, fix it. Fix it.
Sandy and I are there playing cards. Narvel's reading.
The pilot headed back to the Nashville airport and flew low enough to give the tower a look at the belly of the plane. That's when Reba realized they were in a life and death situation.
We looked out the window and the whole runway was covered with lights, ambulance, fire trucks, everything. Well, that put it to another degree of severity.
Their worst fears were confirmed. The plane's wheels were stuck in the up position, jammed by a flashlight inadvertently left by a mechanic. The plane circled Nashville, burning fuel, preparing for an emergency landing. The nervous passengers prepared for the worst.
The three of us sat there together looking at each other and knowing from the previous plane crash that that could happen.
Sits down, nose down, sparks, it's loud, it's noisy.
The dramatic landing was caught on camera by a news crew. Once the jet stopped safely, the seasoned travelers immediately boarded another plane and headed to the concert in Wisconsin as if nothing had happened.
She did her fan club meet and greet. I believe we were no more than 20 or 30 minutes late, and they had no idea at that time what she had just been through on that emergency landing. No idea. She did her show. We got back on the plane. We flew back home and then watched it on CNN.
Reba's grit and determination, as well as her deeply grounded faith, had gotten her through 2 trying and very emotional years. But she had no idea there was such an exciting ride full of unexpected twists and turns still ahead. Coming up, Reba lands the role of a lifetime.
We look at each other and I say, I gotta do this show. He said it was meant for you.
When CMT Inside Fame returns.